I kick ass for the Lord!
Cups of tea, fish and chips, the royal family, cockneys, all things you'll find here in the UK. But there's plenty of things that you can't find in the UK. For example, there's quite a few films that you can't seem to get over here. These films you can't go on Amazon or HMV and buy a new copy of, and that's what I'm basing it off. If you can't find a listing of it on Amazon.co.uk or the HMV website that's new, then I'm saying you can't get it. And imports don't count either because they're coming from abroad. And otherwise I wouldn't have a video. I feel checking two sites is better than just one, just for confirmation's sake. Sure, you can hunt down a pre-owned copy or a different region copy, which might not work. Take a gamble with the digital version, which we all know is glorified renting anyway. The PlayStation movie store says hi. Possibly stream it somewhere or sail the high seas and get it that way. Now I know, in this age of streaming convenience, having a physical copy of a film is becoming more niche. But there are still some of us who like to look at our collections on shelves. Now these are films I personally know about that are really hard to find a copy of here in the UK. One of Jean-Claude Van Damme's earliest and most beloved movies. It's supposed to be based on a real guy called Frank Dukes' experiences, but he apparently made the whole thing up. Still a great premise for a film though. I watched it for the first time on Netflix a few years back. It ain't there anymore. You can buy and watch it off Amazon digitally, but as of now there's no way of getting a UK physical copy that's not a pre-owned DVD, or an American version that's bundled with Van Damme's Time Cop. It's a cult movie, one of Van Damme's most famous, and it's referenced quite a lot in other things. It was produced by Cannon Films and distributed by Warner Brothers back in the day, although it would seem MGM have some sort of ownership of it now, as you can watch it on Amazon for free if you have an MGM subscription. Seems like a wasted opportunity not to re-release it regardless of who currently owns the rights. Death Race 2000 is about, unsurprisingly, a race. A race across America where drivers try to kill each other and civilians in order to win the transcontinental road race and entertain the masses in their thirst for blood. Think the Hunger Games but with cars. The crazy thing is you can get the remake of this movie starring Jason Statham or the sequel Death Race 2050 for quite cheap, but it seems you can't get the original anywhere. You can watch it for free with ads on the American subscription service Tubi, but you can only access that if you're American. Or the internet thinks you're American, aka use a VPN. There was an American release in 2010 via the distribution company Shout Factory, but that seems to be out of print and never made it across the pond. A new release would make sense. It's got David Carradine in it and a very young Sylvester Stallone, so if you're a fan of those guys it would be good for the collection. Again, cult movie that influenced countless other films as well as video games. Any video game which has vehicular manslaughter in it can trace itself back to Death Race 2000. It was distributed by New World Pictures when it first came out, but they went defunct in 1997 and it would appear their library is now owned by Disney. Disney being very particular on what they release, especially from their subsidiaries. So that's a possible reason as to why it hasn't had a re-release. This was the one mentioned to me by a friend who had a curiosity interest in it. It's a pirate movie starring Geena Davis, Matthew Modine and Frank Langella, and is known for having a very troubled production, and as the movie that tanked the bankability of pirate movies until Pirates of the Caribbean The Curse of the Black Pearl came out in 2003. Geena Davis has to stop her uncle, Frank Langella, from getting pieces of a map and finding some treasure, and she does this by teaming up with Matthew Modine. Honestly, I wish they would release this. It's a fun movie, as I recently watched it. Then again, I'm always a sucker for chase movies and pirates. There would definitely be a curiosity factor if it was released. I mean, if you heard that a particular movie was a massive bomb and caused the death of a studio and a decline in a particular genre of movie, you'd be curious as to why, right? Carol Coe produced the movie and it was distributed by MGM. Carol Coe went bankrupt after Cutthroat Island's abysmal box office performance. Its assets were bought by Studio Canal, who do some good re-releases, but maybe it's the right thing with MGM. If you said there was an ultra-gory zombie movie directed by Peter Jackson of Lord of the Rings fame, I'm sure some people would go, "What are you on about and where can I watch it?" Or maybe that was just me. He made the movie in 1992 and it's called one of the goriest movies ever made. I mean, a character loses a hand less than 5 minutes into the movie in a very gory fashion. And then there's the Kung Fu Priest.
I kick ass for the Lord!
And the lawnmower scene. probably some of the most famous scenes from the movie. It's a weird comedy, romance, horror movie rolled into one. Lionel lives with his domineering mother Vera and gets romantically linked to Paquita. His mother tries to stop them and gets bitten by a rat monkey. Don't ask. Eventually becoming a zombie. Shenanigans ensue and other people become infected and Lionel has to try and stop it. It's a weird movie, but if you're into over-the-top silly gore a la the Evil Dead movies, it's totally worth it. You can buy it off the Amazon digital store. There does appear to be a DVD listing that was released in 2010, but to find this listing you have to do some very specific searching. There's no Blu-ray release. The confusion is that there's another movie called Brain Dead, an American production which stars Bill Pullman and Bill Paxton. Hence why this movie is called Dead Alive in some regions. I'm surprised this hasn't had a re-release. The association with Peter Jackson alone would get eyes on it. His production company Wingnut was involved in it, so I would have thought he still has some ownership of it. I tried looking up the distributor Oro Films but can't find anything, so I can't see why Peter Jackson couldn't re-release it. But maybe he doesn't want people to know he started out as a schlock director. You'd think a movie as meme-worthy as The Room would have some sort of release.
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
But no, you can't buy it on DVD, Blu-ray, or even buy it digitally. The only way you can watch this movie and you're from the UK is to find it on YouTube, or other sites. The most bizarre thing is though, you can easily buy The Disaster Artist, the biographical movie about the making of the movie. And at the end of that movie, you have clips from the actual The Room movie. So you can watch clips from a movie you can't legally get in the UK in the credits of another movie. Tommy Wiseau, director, writer and producer of the movie, has the film up on his website, both in DVD and Blu-ray format, but the Blu-ray is the only one in multi-region format. I guess it being an indie movie and the cost of international distribution, it's probably easier and cheaper to just sell directly to the customer, so I can't fault Mr. Wiseau for that. There's probably plenty more movies that you can't get over here in the UK, but these are the ones I personally know. If you know of any, leave a comment. It would be nice to know what I've missed.